So far, we have seen two GraphQL operations in action, which are query and mutation. Now, we will look at the third and last operation of GraphQL, which is called GraphQL subscription. While query and mutation are used to perform read and write operations respectively, GraphQL subscriptions add real-time functionality to a GraphQL server. They allow a server to send data to clients when a specific event occurred on the server. Just as queries and mutations, subscriptions can also have set of fields which will be returned to the client. Unlike queries and mutations, subscriptions doesn't immediately return a response, but instead a response is returned every time a specific event occurs, and the subscribed clients will be notified accordingly. While query and mutation are operated over HTTP, GraphQL subscriptions are operated over WebSockets. Having gotten what GraphQL subscription is, let's see how we can implement it in our GraphQL server. For that, we need to update the main index.js file. So we need to create a new HTTP server. We will pull in the Node.js inbuilt HTTP module. Then we can make use of it to create the server. Const http server equals http.createServer. Then we'll pass in the Express app. Next, we will install the Apollo server subscription handlers on the new HTTP server. That is server, which is the Apollo server, .install subscription handlers. Then we'll pass to it the HTTP server. Now, instead of starting the Express app directly, we are going to start the HTTP server. That is http server.listing. Now, once the server is running, we can console log a message to indicate the subscription server is running as well. So this will be subscriptions ready at WS localhost, then the port, same port, then the server dot subscription path. Now let's save this. As you can see, we now have two log messages, one for the normal GraphQL and the other one for subscription. So GraphQL subscription is running on WebSocket localhost 4000/GraphQL. Just as with the normal GraphQL endpoint, we can also update the subscription part. So we can add a subscription object and specify a path, say subscriptions. Save. Now the subscriptions part has been updated to our new path. But I'm going to get rid of this and make use of the default. Under the hood, Apollo server uses a package called GraphQL subscriptions, which provides a pub/sub implementation for subscribing to and publishing of data on a GraphQL server. So we can pull it in from Apollo server. Let's get rid of this, then pub/sub. Then we have to instantiate it. Const pub/sub equals new pub/sub. Just like models and auth user, we want pub/sub to be available to all our resolvers, so we need to add it to the context as well. But since our GraphQL server can now operate over two different protocols, that is HTTP and WebSockets, we need to cater for that as well. So how do we differentiate requests coming from these protocols? Well, that is easy. HTTP request usually contains two objects, which are request and response, that is rec and res. While a request coming from WebSockets will contain a single object called connection. So that way we can perform a check to cater for each of the protocol. So I'm going to copy all this and we'll pull in connection. Then we'll add an if-else statement. Then we'll check if the request contains a connection object, which indicates that the request is coming from WebSocket. Otherwise, it is coming from HTTP. So we'll paste this back and add pub/sub to the context. Then for subscriptions, we return just the models and pub/sub. We are done setting up subscriptions for our GraphQL server. In the next lesson, we will see how to make use of GraphQL subscriptions to add real-time functionality to our API.